Hi everybody, it's Jennifer Lockwood, your local realtor here in Fairfield, Connecticut with Coldwell Banker. And I wanted to come on today because one of the biggest questions I get asked is what are the closing costs, whether you're a buyer or a seller. It is different for each. So today I'm going to talk to the buyers out there and explain to them what the closing costs are if you are purchasing a home. I will do another video later on the cost of selling a home. So make sure you subscribe to my channel on the link below so you don't miss any upcoming videos. So let's get down to it. First of all, I'm just going to give a general number, a general range, because it does depend on the house price and on the loan amount and where you're buying it as to how much it's actually going to cost you. So I'm just going to give generalities, but just know that there are additional costs to closing a home. The main goal for most home buyers is to save money for the down payment and then know how much you can comfortably afford in a mortgage payment. And those are the main goals, but a lot of times people forget that there are closing costs and they can be thousands of dollars. So you need to plan for those and know how to work those either into your loan or to save for them so that you're not surprised when you get to find that dream home and then you go through the process. So this is just preparing you for that process. So everyone explains closing costs differently, but what I'm going to do is give you 4 categories of closing costs, and then you add them together and plan for that number. Basically, the first item is inspections. So when you are purchasing a home, typically you make a contingent on inspecting that home, and that is at the cost of the buyer. So while you are purchasing this home, you have the opportunity in a certain amount of time period to inspect that home. You inspect the building of it, the structure, and all of the wiring and how everything functions within that home. There's radon, so you test the radon gas levels in the basement so that they are environmentally safe. Termites, because you want to know if there's a termite problem with the wood supporting this home. And then the other items are dependent on the type of property you're buying. So if you're buying a house with a septic, you would want to inspect that. If you have a well, you want to inspect the water. And if you have a pool, you want to inspect the pool. And if the house is older, you want to inspect for asbestos. So those are some of the basic items. You really can put anything additional that this house might be unique that you would want to inspect during this inspection period. Now this can cost you from $600 to $2,000 depending on what you're inspecting. So if it's just basic building, radon, and termites, those are your basic, and everything else is an add-on. So that is just a general range for you to plan for. And then the second item I would put under loan fees. So the lender charges a fee in order to process this mortgage that they are going to give you the money for to purchase this home. And it varies between mortgage brokers, banks. So you need to make sure if you are shopping around that you are comparing them equally. There are some mortgage brokers that will charge a flat fee and some that don't charge a fee, but they will put it in the rate. So either way, the mortgage brokers or banks are going to get paid for the service they're providing you to process your loan. You can also pay points in order to lower your interest rate, and that could be an additional loan cost as well. So if you think you're going to be in this house for 20 years or 30 years and you want to pay down your interest rate to get a lower rate, you can pay points, which would be 1% of the loan amount. You just have to calculate if that makes sense for you. It does make sense on a lot of cases. It could be a couple $1,000s. So it depends on, again, on the price, but it is another lender fee that should be added into your closing costs. The other thing that you will have to pay for is an appraisal. So an appraisal will come out and they will appraise the property to make sure that it appraises to the value that you're purchasing this home for, so that they know that what they're giving you the money for to purchase this home is worth its value. And that can range from about $450 to $500, and that is something you will have to pay for as well. And then the last thing is flood determination. The lender will make sure that this property is not in a flood zone area, and that's a minimal cost, but it's something that the lender does provide. Now the next grouping is the attorney's fee. Here in Fairfield County, a real estate attorney will close this transaction. So you need to hire a real estate attorney in order to process this. And so there's a couple fees that go along with the attorney. First is their fee themselves. They'll charge you a flat fee in order to process all of the paperwork to get to the closing table. Then there is a title search and title insurance. So let me explain what that is and about how much it costs. So a title search will cost around $350 to $500 depending on what state you're in, first of all, and then what county. The attorney will order the title search. And basically what that is that they go back to the beginning of when this property was just land, and they see how the ownership was transferred to basically make sure there's no gaps in ownership from one owner to the next. And it could have happened a number of times. So they go through all of that process to make sure that no one can ever come back and say that they have some kind of rights to this property, and that the seller, the current seller, has the right to sell it to you, the buyer. That would be clear title. Some things that could come up on a title search, maybe the legal address could be wrong, or names could be missing, a mortgage might not have been recorded. Certain things like that may come up. They actually search through the mortgage and they search for easements and restrictions just to make sure that it all makes sense and that you have clear title. If you don't have clear title, sometimes it's called cloud of title, and that is if there's something like a tax lien or something in the past that has not been addressed, and it is really important to go through this process. And then you have, in addition to that, title insurance. Now, title insurance is insurance to ensure that that title is clear. So let's just say down the road, somebody comes back from the past and says that they have rights to the ownership of that property. The title insurance would cover you for that. An example would be if it went through probate. If someone had passed away years ago and it went through probate and there were 2 kids that had ownership to this home, maybe somewhere down the road there was a 3rd child they didn't know about, and that child came and said that they had some kind of right to this property. That's what the title insurance would cover you for. Highly unlikely, but it is something that is required, and it ranges. So it could go from $1,400, depending on the price of the house, it will go up. So kind of an average number would be $275 per 100,000. But it does change and it does range. So just make sure you're checking with your attorney how much that will cost you, just so that you're prepared. I jumped right into title insurance after the title search, but I also wanted to mention within the title search is a municipal search as well. And when I said $350, that was for both the municipal and the title search. And the municipal search is if they go to your town hall and they make sure that every permit that was taken out has a CO with it. And there could be items that maybe a permit wasn't taken out for, like somebody finishes a basement and they don't take a permit out for that. That is something that will come up in the title search. So those are items that you want taken care of before you close, and your attorney would bring that up to the seller's attorney to make sure that they address those issues before close. And then the last thing is a recording fee, and that is once it's closed, the attorney will bring those documents to the town hall to record that you are now the owner of the property. And that costs about $300. And then the last item of grouping would be prepaid items. So when you have to close on your first home, you have, well, any home actually, it could be your second home, but you have to give a full year of homeowners insurance prepaid. So you have to pay that full year of homeowners insurance, and it could be $1,500 and up depending on the value of the home and how much you need to be insured. And then other prepaid items would be your taxes and insurance, which your lender will hold in escrow. They will charge you every month, and that way, so when your taxes come due and your insurance come due in the following year, they will have the money in escrow to pay those items. And then also, if there's an oil tank in the property, that they will give an adjustment for oil, that maybe the seller filled the oil tank, and then that adjustment you might have to pay for at closing. All of these closing costs would be in a closing disclosure. So you would have all of these fees before closing. First, they give you an estimate in the beginning of the process, and then 3 days before close, you get the closing disclosure, which would be the accurate numbers. So you are very aware of how much this is going to cost you. And typically, if you just want to do a very general number, it's between a 2 and 3% of the purchase price of the home. So you can go in thinking that way, that you're going to have this extra cost in order to close your home. So I hope you found this information helpful. Check out out a previous video of mine on 2 must-dos before you even start the buying process here in Fairfield County. You could also go to my website to download a buyer's guide that I have for you, and it's the process from beginning to end. And you just go to jenniferlockwoodhomes.com and click on buyers and buyer guide, and I'll send you a PDF file on that. Whatever you do today, I hope it's a good one. Stay safe and stay healthy, and I will see you next time.